I made these mistakes so you don't have to. As sneakerheads today, we are absolutely bombarded with countless choices. It feels like every single week we have new sneakers and high profile collabs dropping. And as someone who loves sneakers, you do sometimes feel like you need all of them. And that does lead to some costly mistakes. So in this video, I'm going to tell you some of the most common sneaker mistakes so that you can avoid them. We got no time to waste, so let's talk about mistake number 1. And to explain this, I need to use this shoe as an example. This is the Adidas Gucci Gazelle. I bought this pair last year for a retail price of 650 euros, and in the US they actually retailed for $800. At the time, it was the most money I had spent on a sneaker, and when I bought them, I was like, wow, this is a Gucci collab. It comes in that special packaging, it's got the different materials, this is a luxury sneaker. And I did kind of get caught up in mistake number 1, which is that expensive doesn't mean good. Because if I'm honest, none of those reasons were why I actually wanted this shoe. The number one reason why I wanted this was simply because of the colorway. I had never seen such a nice pink colorway on an Adidas sneaker before, and that really drew me towards the shoe. But if I had just waited a few months, I could have picked up the Adidas Gazelle Indoor in the Bliss pink colorway, which I honestly like just as much. It's a very identical colorway, and the price of that sneaker is about a fifth of the cost of these Gucci Gazelles. And this is a common mistake that I feel a lot of people make. They judge how good a sneaker is by how much it costs or how much it resells for. Another perfect example would be the Jound Asics that came out last year. Well, those are reselling for a ridiculous amount. But let's be honest, guys, you can get one of the infinite colorways of the Gel Cayano 14s and you're getting pretty much the same sneaker with pretty much the same look for a whole lot cheaper. And there's so many other examples. The Wales Bonner Sambas from last year, those beautiful white and green pairs. You can get a very identical sneaker for a whole lot less. So before you go out and spend your hard-earned money on a sneaker, ask yourself, do you really love that shoe because of how it looks? Does it mean something to you? Or do you just want it because of the hype or because it's expensive? Moving on to mistake number 2, and for this one, I gotta use the Jordan 3 Reimagined to explain my point. A lot of people calling this the sneaker of the year, and yeah, it might be true. I'm not saying that buying this sneaker might have been a mistake for you, but it certainly was a mistake for me. I'm not someone who's really into Jordan 3s. Before the sneaker came out, I didn't own any other 3s in my collection. It's a shoe that works for a lot of people, but just doesn't work for me. However, when these were coming out, I thought, okay, wow, these are classics. Everyone seems to love them. I'm gonna make this the first pair of 3s to enter the collection. But of course, I was wrong about how much I would like these. I wore them once and then pretty much didn't want to wear them again. And that's because I didn't stay true to what I like. I fell into the hype a little bit. And this is a mistake that's quite common right now with how fast sneaker trend cycles move. A few years ago, everyone wanted a pair of Jordan 1s. That's why every colorway was selling out. Fast forward to 2023 and it's all about the Adidas Samba and more recently even Asics sneakers. But if you're the type of person that just loves wearing Jordans, then you shouldn't force yourself to like a pair of Sambas or Asics. Because if you don't have outfits or a wardrobe that goes with those type of sneakers, then you're just gonna end up regretting your purchase. So what I'm trying to say is buy what you like, not what everyone else does. Moving on to mistake number 3, and I'm gonna use the Jordan 1 as an example here, but you can pretty much use any sneaker these days. And that is, do not buy Jordan 1s for retail. You absolutely do not need to do that anymore. Nowadays, most Jordan 1s are not selling out. In fact, they are sitting and sometimes even going on sale. You can say the same with pretty much every New Balance sneaker, including the Teddy Santis Made in USA pairs. This applies to really pretty much every non-hyped sneaker nowadays. They're all going on sale. You can get them for between 30 to 50% off in most cases. You could also do something what I've done successfully in the past, which is go on a platform like StockX and put in a bid for a lot lower than the retail price. There's a lot of people who are just desperate for the cash. They want to get rid of whatever shoes they're holding on to. So it's very likely that your low bids might actually even get hit and you might end up with a big steal. So remember guys, you do not have to pay retail anymore for most sneakers. Just wait a bit. Moving on to mistake number 4. Now this one might be the most controversial, but I'm going to use the recently released Jordan 1 Union for this example. Now I think it's pretty clear that this sneaker is very much a love it or hate it type of shoe. It's certainly a very unique Jordan 1, but what I have noticed from people who like the sneaker is that what they seem to love about the shoe is in fact the story behind it and the inspiration of the sneaker. The shoes definitely have an incredible story, taking it back to the summer of 1996 where the founder of Union, Chris Gibbs, met his wife at a train station. And that's a great story. I can even relate to that one a lot on a personal level. It reminds me about how I met my fiance. But I was simply not gonna buy a shoe just for the story because at the end of the day, I buy my sneakers to wear. You guys know this. Personally, this is just my opinion, but this is not a good looking shoe to me, so I just didn't want to own it. I pretty much only bought this size 8 pair just to make content. Unfortunately, I do feel like a lot lot of people buy absolutely ridiculous looking sneakers just because they like the story behind it, which is fine if you're a big collector and you're the type of person who likes to display their sneakers on a wall or some kind of display. I just don't want you guys to make the mistake of buying a sneaker just for the story and then realizing that you can't really wear these with anything, because they're just gonna end up sitting on your shelf collecting dust. So buy the shoe, not the story. And the last sneaker mistake, and this one is probably the most important, you do not need everything. It's very easy as a sneakerhead to get caught up in the hype behind a release and think you need every single shoe. And one of the hardest things to deal with as a sneakerhead is take L's. A lot of people try to make up for that L by rage buying the sneaker on release date. They open up their reselling platforms and immediately buy the shoe for whatever price it's selling for, thinking that prices are gonna go up and they're just gonna miss out on that shoe. And it's easy to have an emotional reaction like that after taking an L, but let me tell you this from experience, buying a shoe immediately after release, you're gonna regret that 9 out of 10 times. First of all, most sneaker prices tend to go up immediately after release dates simply because of people who are rage buying the shoe, because once most other people receive their pairs and start selling it, that's when you see sneaker prices start to come down. You've heard of the saying, patience saves pockets. That definitely applies to sneakers. If you just wait a bit, you'll most likely get a much better price on your shoe. And secondly, you might even realize the following week there's another sneaker coming out and you want that one even more, and you've already forgotten about the L you took the previous week. That's when you realize, yeah, I never really needed that shoe in the first place. So it's totally fine not having every single shoe, guys. There's a new sneaker releasing pretty much every single weekend, so learn to accept your L's. And one more bonus sneaker mistake that I forgot about the first time I actually filmed this video. Buy sneakers that fit you, guys. If you're gonna spend resale on a sneaker, make sure you get the right size. Don't get a half size down or a half size higher just because it happens to be cheaper on StockX or whatever other reselling platforms you're buying from. You gotta be comfortable every time you buy sneakers. You're always gonna regret it every time you put those shoes on your feet. So please, guys, buy the right size for you. And that's about it for most of the common sneaker mistakes that I've seen, but please let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. What has been some of your biggest sneaker mistakes? Leave a comment with that so we can all learn from each other. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you found this video useful. I would appreciate that a lot. And make sure you are following me on Instagram as well. The handle can be found right here. And my bi-weekly podcast, The Kickback Pod, available on Spotify and Apple Music. You can find links to that in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and for supporting my channel. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.